This is crazy, man. We went to the NBA Finals. Why are we trading the best player, the franchise player? How are we trading the franchise player?
It's already been a while since the Luka Doncic trade was done, and many of us are still dumbfounded that the Dallas Mavericks were willing to make this trade. Luka is a generational superstar who should always be protected by his franchise, and something about this trade and Doncic's character doesn't feel right at all. That's why we're here, to try to take a deeper look at Luka Doncic and why this trade happened. When Doncic joined the Dallas Mavericks in 2018 in what was one of the most talented draft classes we've seen in recent memory, it became clear to everyone that he might be the best player of that draft class. The moment he started playing in the NBA, he was the steal of the draft, putting up great stats while giving the Dallas Mavericks hope as Dirk Nowitzki's retirement was drawing closer during Luka's rookie season. He was supposed to be the franchise star, a generational baller who could take any franchise into the future with his abilities and star quality. The Mavs were also making good money out of him because of his magnetic nature and ability to sell out entire arenas and merchandise. That's why it would have been crazy for anyone to think about trading him. Unlike other superstars who put up great stats but don't have the wins to back up their status, Doncic has actually been great for the Mavs.
Doncic maneuvers for the lead. Got it! Got it! What a shot!
In 2022, he led the team to the Western Conference Finals. Meanwhile, in 2024, he carried the Mavs on his back in what was an unlikely run to the finals. That means he's the type of player any team would want when it comes to a true franchise player capable of putting an entire squad on his shoulders. But before the 2025 trade deadline, the Dallas Mavericks surprised the entire world when they traded Luka Doncic for Anthony Davis. As news about this trade made the headlines, people were wondering if this was an extra early April Fool's joke or if the media simply made a mistake. But when Mavs general manager Nico Harrison confirmed the trade, people were shocked. Mavs fans unfollowed the team on social media, causing the team to lose a lot of loyal fans who supported this squad because of Doncic. Meanwhile, the Los Angeles Lakers got a new generational superstar in what was clearly a trade win for this franchise. Now, there have been a lot of speculation surrounding this trade. Harrison said that he pulled the plug on the Doncic era because he thought defense wins championships. When you look at the recent finals in 2024, the Mavs lost because they could not stop anyone on the Boston Celtics.
Ball batted around. White catches, fires, and hits a three.
Doncic's defense, or lack thereof, stuck out like a sore thumb. He wasn't putting any effort on the defensive end at all, simply allowing Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown to get all the way to the basket. That was probably what Nico Harrison was looking at. Still, you can't blame him for that. There were stretches during the 2024 playoffs, especially in the first round, when Doncic was putting effort on the defensive end. But during the finals, he had to carry the team on the offensive end when his partner, Kyrie Irving, was averaging 19.8 points while shooting 41.4% from the field. No other player outside of Doncic, Irving, and PJ Washington averaged double digits in scoring. Meanwhile, Luka literally had to do everything when he led the team in points, rebounds, and assists, averaging 29.2 points, 8.8 rebounds, and 5.6 assists. He also outscored and out-rebounded every other player in that 5-game loss in the finals. That means he had to do more than what he needed to do to give the Mavs a fighting chance. You can't blame him for being lazy on defense if he was putting his all into every other aspect of the game. Shame on Nico Harrison for calling him lazy. Then again, he did also say that Doncic was close to 270 pounds and lacked conditioning early in the season, so he might have a point. But a fat Luka is still better than 99% of the guards in the NBA.
Doncic, the step back three, you bet!
Meanwhile, if Harrison was looking for a star who could defend, there are so many younger players he could have gone after instead of going to the Lakers first. That means there must be something weird going on here. Add the fact that Harrison traded him for a 32-year-old Anthony Davis, a guy who's been known for missing a lot of games due to injury. On paper, it looks like a respectable trade because AD brings an elite defense. But you have to wonder why the Mavs were willing to do this when Davis is getting older and more injury-prone every season, whereas Luka is yet to enter the prime of his career at 25 years old. This is where it gets interesting. Harrison used to work with Nike. He's actually the guy who fumbled Stephen Curry's signing with Nike, calling him by a different name and recycling a marketing pitch they used on Kevin Durant.
Day in, day out, day in, day out, day.
Curry went on to build an apparel empire with Under Armour, and Nike would have been the one to enjoy that success had Harrison secured Curry's services. That means he's a generational fumbler who fumbled Curry and Doncic. So you could say he was simply not thinking right when he traded Doncic. Well, there's something deeper here. Harrison and Lakers GM Rob Pelinka both used to work at Nike. That means they have a good working relationship. And we know that the Los Angeles Lakers are the league's golden boys when it comes to making money. There's always been a generational superstar in LA. You're looking at guys like Jerry West, Wilt Chamberlain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson, Shaquille O'Neal, Kobe Bryant, and now LeBron James. Having one of the best players of their respective era makes a lot of money for the Lakers, and by extension, the NBA. But we all know LeBron is getting older and older, and he may not be in the NBA 2 years down the line. Meanwhile, the Lakers don't have enough pieces to make a big trade for a big superstar or cap space to sign a generational talent. That's why this trade makes perfect sense. Doncic, as we know, isn't the most vocal player when it comes to where he wants to go or who he wants to play.
Into Jackson Hayes. What a pass. Jackson, three, go!
But we know that he's a star among stars, and that means he'd want to play in the biggest market possible. So even though we never heard him saying he wants to go to LA and play for the Lakers, there's a huge chance that this trade was orchestrated by his desire to actually want to be the next face of the greatest franchise in the NBA. After all, the money, fame, and popularity he can get in LA trumps any legacy he could build in Dallas. But if we try to treat Doncic as the innocent party here because he claims he didn't know about this trade, we can look at Harrison and the NBA again. As mentioned, the NBA always wants the Lakers to have the biggest names. Meanwhile, the biggest sports brand in the world, Nike, has strong ties with the NBA and works tightly with Doncic under the Jordan brand. So, if you look at it, it makes perfect sense to bring in a Nike superstar to the biggest basketball market in the world just before LeBron decides to hang his sneakers up. This ensures that there would be no dead space in between the LeBron and Luka eras, as opposed to the 3-year stretch we saw between the Bryant and James eras. And this also means the NBA would continue making money off the Lakers, especially with Luka joining the most lucrative franchise in the league. It's no secret that the NBA hasn't been profiting as much as it did.
Maneuvers for the lead. Got it! What a shot!
We can blame the lack of varieties, the boring style of the game, or the obvious storylines for the league's recent struggles. But we can also blame the lack of rivalries for that. The league has always loved rivalries because they fuel the NBA's money-making machine. We saw this in the Russell, Chamberlain, and Magic Bird eras. And the common factors are the Lakers and the Celtics. Whenever the league was in trouble, there was almost always a Lakers-Celtics rivalry to rekindle interest in the NBA. We know that the Celtics are on top of the league and are likely going to contend for championships in the next 5 seasons or so. But the Lakers were on the decline before the AD trade because their superstars were getting older. So, in a sense, Luka was there to be the band-aid solution to this organization's struggles. That's why there's a good chance the NBA, Nico Harrison, and Rob Pelinka orchestrated this move because of their underlying interests in the success of the league and their many stakeholders. Having Luka in LA can potentially revitalize the rivalry between the Lakers and the Celtics, especially with Doncic looking to avenge his loss in the 2024 finals. A potential Lakers versus Celtics finals should feed the entire league, as opposed to the lukewarm reception that the Mavs versus Celtics finals saw in 2024 when viewership was down. Essentially, the writing is all over the air, and it's obvious that the league's machinery was working hard to make this all happen. In simple terms, it's too much of a coincidence for it to be purely motivated by the Mavericks' desire to improve on the defensive end. So, as much as we'd like to say that Doncic is loyal and innocent in all this, there's a chance he already knew about it beforehand. That's probably the reason why the Mavs were resting him for weeks to ensure he was healthy and 100% before his move to the Lakers. And probably the best reason why this secret was kept hidden for months was for the league to avoid another disastrous superstar transition from one team to another. Yes, we're talking about the LeBron decision in 2010. That's why Luka might not be totally innocent at all and has had an idea about this move for weeks or months already.